Good day and welcome to my red decks. I have 4 of them. I'm going to show you what I'm mostly using for the ramp and for the card draws. So be right back. Here's the ramp in Torbjörn. Torbran. Torbjörn, the Overwatch guy. Alright. Pretty good because since it is an instant sorcery deck. Depends. It's not one of my. I don't often use this one that much, but it has some great potential. Good for instance decks. Great in red. I love this one. If you do not have anything else to do on turn 4, you might as well cast it for 4, kick it for 4, and gain 2. Yeah, just read it. All right. I love this land. I put in every single commander deck I own. This one is pretty great for mono colors, I think. That's pretty great for mono colors. As I said in earlier videos, 3 CMC and less is good. 2 CMC is pretty good. I often play around 2 CMC mana ramps. The more you can do earlier in the game, I just think that's great. Depends also on the commander. Since he's costing 4, I do have spells, plus he's really mana hungry. Most of my decks are often mana hungry, so I just like to build them that way. I like to throw whatever I want to throw and play whatever I want to play. I play with bad cards in each of these decks, but since I have enough mana to play them and I have a decent synergy, they play well together. This card I have fire breathing with this guy. Just he got a lot of explosive mana. I'm gonna show you that later. I can give you an example. Mana Geyser is an explosive mana. I do not see this as ramp, but it's great. It can make you ramp a lot. It can make you draw a lot of cards. Sorry for the light. My studio ain't that great. So, Burning Heart depends on the deck. I know that land ramps is better, that Commander Zone said. I suggest if you're even an experienced player, I suggest you watch those guys. They will have those guys have a lot of great videos. I do like play around power 7, and I think those decks those like to play are often around power 8, or I'm not going to be the judge of that, but I like to play around power 7. So I build my decks a bit different from how those guys build them often. I think they often have 10 card draws, 10 ramps. I have close to 30 to 40 of them combined, if you know what I mean. Soul Ring is fantastic. I hope they never ban this card, because it's so good for helping out white, red, Boros, sometimes Rakdos. I like playing Rakdos as well. This one depends on the deck you're playing. If you're casting a lot of spells in a cycle, also from player 1 to player 4, I like this one. This one is just simply great. If you're playing mono red, I suggest you play this one. It's a bit expensive now, so wait till it drops maybe. Wafer's Bubble is fantastic. Mana Geyser can help you out. And sometimes it might actually be a dead card in your hand. Depends on how many cards you have, your resources. I love this effect. I can't say I love it. Sorry, I'm going to try to avoid the light here. It's just great for, especially since I play in a lot of instant speed. If you have a lot of abilities, if you like to play during other players' rounds, I often do. But some of my decks do, some of my decks don't. This is a new ramp I'm trying out. It's really situational how good he is, but I'm trying out. As I said, I felt I need to say that 2 times, as you can hear. This one is great if you have if you can play it like in instant speed on your turn at your upkeep. You will get a red mana, and you will get more and more red mana as the upkeeps as more rounds you have. He also have that one in. He also has this in his deck, because you can activate this if not sorcery speed. I haven't read that. I do not believe it's only sorcery speed. Yeah, you can check it for yourself. If I'm going to read this, is going to take way too long since I have dyslexia. I can't even spell dyslexia. That's how dyslexic I am. This is not a good ramp, but if you struggle, it's better to just ramp it out. You know, it's situational, and since you're in a monocolored, you can afford to play this weird land. I like this land a lot. Often I do not have a problem with it. Sometimes you can have a problem. Often I do not have a problem with it. All right. Now I'm gonna show you the card draw in Torbran. All right, Torban's card draw. This is one of my most. This is one of my favorite card draws till now. I just love this creature. He's burn and he can draw cards. Fantastic. This land, fantastic. It's not a good. It's not a card draw spell. It's a card advantage lands. So I really do love. I'm gonna show you. I can make a video later, or I can just do it now. On some of the lands I like. I can make a short video, a little list of lands I like playing. This effect I do love. I play him in many of my red decks and in Torbran. If I reveal a free CMC card like this one, he's gonna deal most often he's gonna deal more than just 3 damage to that player. That player often has to deal been dealt 5 damage instead. So I like playing him here. I do not count him as a card draw, but I have something I call potential card draw, and I'm gonna show you that later. This one is pretty cool. Torbran gets mad and deal more damage to people, doing a lot of instant sorceries, so I might often cost 4, 2, yeah, depends on the game. This effect is great. I do suggest playing this one in every red in a monocolors that struggle with card draw, just as red, for example, alright? Is a good effect. Even though Torbran I do not like to hit people with my Torbran. I do have some instant sorceries that might help me out. Is a removal deck. You play with effects like that. removal deck. But I'm gonna go through this deck later if you want to in a video. I might do it anyway. I don't care what you think or what you want me to do. I can make a video. I'm most likely going to make a video oh guys, whew. I'm most likely going to make a video about him later. This text. I think it's pretty fun. I'm gonna find a instant sorcery. I like to play with stuff like that. Yeah, pretty strong effect. Most of you guys want to see that. I know that. I like this. 2 mana for 2 cards for 1 mana. I meant. This is a pretty great land in red, actually. Sometimes you spend all your cards. The card rise effects in here is not like the blue ones. I think it's decent. This one is really situational, but I like the effect. It's a bit chaotic playing with stuff like that. This is a potential card draw. Somebody may take 7, and if they take 7, sometimes that's yeah. This deck is burn, so it's pretty threatening when I play effects like those 2 effects. Those are potential card draw, but often they take a lot more than just 4 damage. And I have some of the effects in here that going to make them hit more. I'm not going to find those now while I'm still trying. All right. Potential card draw, but often, sometimes you will get cards from those, or you just kill the player later. It's just fun. I like that. I like playing fun things. This is a pretty decent card draw. Plus Torbrand makes she hit attacking creatures for more, so it's not fun. It's not fun hitting her. I did not hit her. I did not. And this is my favorite red card draw till now. That's not an artifact. Not a colorless card draw. This is my favorite red till now. It's so great that you can do this flashback later. Even though I often play with around 15 card draws plus, around often plus, but around 15. 15 is a great number, I think, for card draw. This one is one of the best, and sometimes you run out of things to do, so then you can pop it for 8. I haven't played a lot with this yet, but I think that it is a pretty cool and a pretty cool card. I do like that it can become burn. This one is great, mono red, great for mono white, great for Boros also. A bit harder, but it's great. I do love this effect. Often I'm only using this one because it will draw you some cards. Though in some of my decks, I do prick dragons instead, so that when one of my creatures dies, I will deal damage instead. Now I'm going to show you the other decks, though I will not spend this much time on those because now you have seen some of the basics. So if I see a card I haven't shown you in this row, in these 2 rows, or piles, or whatever you want to call them, I'm going to talk a bit about those, but I'm just going to go through them fast and easy. Yeah, and I can show you these two. This is mainly just a mana rock, but if you struggles, I have used this ability at least once since this came out. Yeah, in one game, but I used it 2 times. Whatever. All right. Card draw and ramp. I think this is pretty great. Not always that easy to keep her alive, though. Is utility. I love utility. All right. Next. All right, and we're back. So this is the red. No, sorry. This is Purpros ramp. This is also a card draw, especially in him, because he has a lot more card draw. I believe he's close to 20 card draws because he spends cards really fast since he only pays 3 mana for them. So he's often close to 0 cards in hand. Alright, this one makes you also play an extra land. Seen this? It's a decent card. Especially in him, he only costs 3 in this deck, and his dice, so you draw a card. And finding his bombs is really important. You've seen this? I think this is a great ability. I do love that all of my creatures get +1. This is great. He's fantastic, especially in decks that deals a lot of damage. I wish I had more of this card. I would most likely put in all of my red decks. I wish I had 10 of them. You've seen this? Seen those? It enters tapped. I just saw this card. I haven't seen him before. And gaining a +2. Gaining a 2/2 blocker might save your ass. I use it. As you can hear, this is not one of my favorite ramp, but he gives you some utility, and he gives you some mana, and sometimes you have to make some tough decisions with what you're gonna to dump in the bin with him. I mean this card, so you understand what I'm saying. The great thing about this is it's a bit utility. Sometimes you do not need 15 access to 15 mana, sometimes a card is better. I do like this effect. It's great early game. It's also great, good late, but I think it's a good early game card to play. And one of my favorites. This is just pure. It's just great, you know. So I just want to say it one more time. 2 and less CMC for a ramp, I think is great. Ramp I often play from that cost 0 up to 3. Not that often I play over 3 anymore. That will say I'm not often playing things that will cost 4 or more. And if the commander only if the commander this is not a commander I want out early, but he is. I haven't played with this deck yet, so I'm not making a video about him. I can show you some of the ramp. I'm not going to show you anything about him now, but I can do it later. But this is a commander I want to have out pretty early. So in this deck I will often have. This is too bad. This is not the ideal to get him out early, but this is my favorite ramp. It's just my favorite ramp card as long as it works. When this works, it's great. It's fantastic. You will have 17 lands when others sit with 10. I just love this card. And this is a pretty good card draw. As I said, I love burn, and you get a card draw from it. Oof, it's fantastic. It's bad it costs so much, though. Yeah. So I will have things that cost a lot. I will aim for 2. I will almost always aim for 2, but the more the commander cost, the lower I want the ramp to be. The thing is, I'm out of ramps, so I have to get some more ramp for red. So he's not optimized. Whew. There was something more I wanted to say over there, but I can't remember what it was. So back to card draw for Furfros. I forgot to show you though these two in the ramp pile. I just use them so you can have some explosive mana, explosive turns, whatever you want to call it. This is a new card. I have not played with it yet, but I believe this is going to be pretty cool. Alright, so to card draw now. So Purfro's card draw. You haven't seen this once before. I just think is so cool. Plus, much of this deck has a lot of high CMC, as you can see in this one. It's have 7, 5, yeah. So it's fun. I'm going to play with him. This is pretty great with him since he will often empty his hand or close to empty his hand. That's why I have a lot of wheel effects, because he need a lot of card supply. And the thing about him is this pseudo card draw that this one gives, and a bit of this one, is that he wants card in your hand to have effect on the ability. So exiled card does not help him that much. Though exiling some lands is great, so I can play those from exile. So a great card for him. I bought this when it was only $30. Plus it's damaged. It's not damaged in the front. It's only in the back, on the back. So I think that is a plus. A great card draw for him. I think it's a pretty good card draw anyway, actually. Depends on how you build your decks. My decks are often mana hungry and I have a lot of ramps, so I often can afford to play for CMC. Though card draw I think is great when they are from as cheap as those are good. If you can understand what I'm saying. Often I have card draws from 3 CMC and up to 5 CMC, because when I've ramped, I like to draw my cards back. So I like to, as you can see, many of my card draws often have close to 4. I'm aiming for that. At least I'm aiming for it. I couldn't say that right. A wheel effect. Sorry, the lights became bad here. I'm going to lift them up for now. A great effect for him, since the creature gets sacrificed. I can draw a full hand. One of my favorite red cards. Love this effect. Potential card draw. As you have seen from my card draws alone, many of my cards do have a really high CMC. A really high CMC here as well. So potential 16 damage to someone's face. I haven't played with him before. This looks really fun. And since I'm going to lose my creature anyway, why not change her out for one that's just as big? Often. Or just... I think I'm mainly playing him for his minus ability. Instant speed card draw. You've seen it before. I think it's great. I would love them to reprint those lands. I will pay a bunch. If you, as I've heard earlier, if Skull Clamp is in your deck, it's most likely your best card in the deck, and in this deck it is. Or I should say, it's true for this deck. It's a great card draw. You also have those effects that can tutor. You can tap those, and you can, for 3 mana, you can tutor one card. I think this one is much better because for 4 mana you get 2 basic land cards, but for the others you have to spend 9 mana for 2 cards. So I think this is a lot better. Just something I told my friend, and he was like, "Oh, damn, that's right." All right, you've seen this one before. It's great. As long as you are in red, if you're in a struggling color for cards, I do not care if I help my opponent. If I'm for the first, we often play around power 7, so you can afford to help your opponent. This can be a political advantage, and if I can throw these guys out for 6 mana because I draw them with this guy, I think that is pretty strong. I just like it. Yeah, this one is great as well. I do love this card. I think this one is one of the best red card draws they've made so far. And this one is great. I suggest, if you like red, if you're going to brew in red, or if you want to copy some of my decks or just take some ideas from it, I would love to, if you can comment and tell me what you think. And as well, Perforos do not play Chandra, though, because he's not that good to protect. He's better to attack than block. So it's harder to defend her. Plus that he do not like exiled cards. The pseudo card draw. He likes cards in his hand. Alright, so to the next decks. So to Felon, the fire breathing deck. I'm just gonna go quick over those one you have seen. I thought this card was a lot better earlier, but as Commander Zone says, oh, I can't say that right though. 5, it will take a lot of aggro from your opponents, and they will often shoot it down. You've seen it. I think this is a good ramp for red. Depends on how much spells you're casting. I do not. I only own so many of him, so I might as well have put it in a lot of the other decks. Though Torbrand earlier destroyed. He dealt damage to all the creatures, so he often would have just died. You've seen those. If your deck is attacking, this is one of the best card draws. I would might even play it in green. I do not know if I've done it yet, but yeah, I only have so many copies of it, so I often have it. I often use it for non-green decks. Though if I had a really aggroing green deck, I might as well put it in there. One of the best ramps, as long as you can attack with it, and yeah, it's an extra land every turn. That's fantastic. Depends on how mana hungry your deck is, and how fast your deck is. This is not an. Most of my red decks is not doing stuff until mid game. So that will be around turn 5-6. It's okay. It's just utility for having a lot of extra mana for later. So I can spend one turn casting this, and in my next turn I can attack with 2 fire-breathing creature, and one of depends on who gets blocked. This one is also pretty great for the fire breathers, cause you can always put out the token, and the token also get the fire breathing effect. So if they block the, most often they won't block the. I haven't played that much with it, so everything is. I don't know how the turn's gonna get out, but if they block the token, you can put some extra damage in and kill the blocker. Yeah. So everything is relevant. I think this is a pretty cool effect. I bought some of those because I think it's just so cool. First off, you start putting pressure on 2 of your opponents, because it's have to attack and it's not attacking you. And if you just put this on a 2/2 commander, say you put it on a Torbrand, now it's a 6/6 coming at your face with commander damage every turn. And the thing about this is a good ramp in my fire breathing deck, because it takes away a blocker. So since that creature is untapped, it's more likely that I can get in with Inferno Titan. That's also one of my favorite red cards. You see many of my favorite red cards right here. But I'm still gonna make a video later, so I can go more through it, why I like it. I can tell you really fast why I like this guy. He's dealing 3 damage when he attacks and when he enters the battlefield, and the fire breathing effect is just a plus. I meant to do this or whatever. Is nice. Explosive mana. I do not have. He's not making explosive rounds for me so far, but it's a help. It helps. It helps. Everything helps. All right. This is great if it survives. I really did not hope you hear that. This is also a great ramp, though it's really I can't remember the word for it, but people like to destroy the land it makes. It makes a land that taps for free. It became a gilded lotus on a land. You've seen it. It's cool. It's great. It's maybe not great, but it's cool. It's a cool effect. It's worth playing with. And sorry, now for the card draw. Yeah, and I played this also. Card draw and ramp for the other players as well, but you're the most likely since you're in mono red, you're the deck that's most likely to not have cards in your hand. And Chandra. Felden's card draws is the Ox. This one is pretty cool. If they block your creature, you draw 2 cards, and if you do not block a 12/6, you will become struggling after a while. So that's why is the creature will become so big in attack you wish to block them, and I will draw some card. So it's a ++. If they don't block it, you'll have a 6/6 with fire breathing. That will hit this most likely the same player the next turn as well. You've seen it, it's great. Discarding cards with him might as well be good. So I play with this a lot more of the discards effect. I do not, yeah. It's Romashing or something. That effect is named, but it's not true. So you discard a card to get 2 cards, and since he uses the graveyard and is in your command zone, discarding card becomes positive. I do not think this is a really good card, though, if you're struggling. And I only wanted to try playing with it. You might as well just be better playing with another one of this effect, actually. But I wanted to try it out. I think that is a really fun part with brewing, in that you try stupid cards like this. Maybe it makes for a fun game. Maybe it's a cool idea playing with it. He helps me find some creatures. This deck do not have that much card draw. I find myself often with 3 cards in hand in this deck. That's not that usable often, though. I think the deck it runs okay. That you will often find your red decks will sometimes just run okay. Sometimes they just run okay. He earlier had too few ramps and card draws, so he was only running okay most of the time. And if they killed Torbran, there was no way. It was so hard getting back in the game if they killed him just once. I hate when that's the thing. They take my commander once and I'm struggling to get back in the game. You've seen this one before. Another draw and discard. Potential card draw. Love it. I have him in most of my red decks. I did not put him in Torbran because I wanted some other effects in there. So that's why. This card again. It's okay. It's okay. I'm not showing. I've played with this a lot earlier, but I have found some better card draws since then. I mostly changed this one out for this one, so I've run this in a lot more decks and some other effects as well. But if you could play lands from this card, it would have been so much better. But it does not let you play lands, and that is bad. It sucks. It helps you out sometime, but you often just want to play your lands. Only play lands. Sorry, that was stupid. This card is great, and it's an okay effect. Since I'm already discarding cards with most of the other effects in here, I think it can be good. All right, next deck plus these 2 as a card draw effects and ramp effects. So the last deck is Dracus. Yeah, that's dyslexia for you. Here is his ramp, and this guy is really mana hungry and is a really explosive deck. So this is highly, the word I don't remember, susceptible or something for removal. What I mean is will often get targeted for removal. Gauntlet of Power will often get targeted for removal. It also helps the other players that plays with a lot of mountains and even one mountain. Though it's better for me than for them. So, and if it helps them too much, I will just hit them 3 times and they're dead. So that's how tough I am. Sol Ring, the best land. Is not the best land, but is good. It's a really great land, and I would suggest you play with it in most of your commander decks. Yeah, and I only play commander until now. I don't like sealed, I don't like draft, I don't like anything other than commander. Commander is the thing. I need a lot of mana, and I need a lot of explosive mana. This is so I can cast him on turn 3, 4, maybe even turn 2. Explosive mana again for each of my it's also if I just need 1 extra mana, I can untap a land. I can untap a land and I can tap it again if I just needed 1 extra land. And if I need a bunch of if I needed 1 extra mana, I will use the +1. If I need a bunch of mana, I will use the +2. It's a decent card. Malageyser, explosive. This is a cool effect. I like it. Yeah, and I'm attacking a lot with this deck. The reason why I do not is not the best effect, I think, but I think it's a cool effect. The thing is, I'm limited on how many I have on each of the cards as well. But if you attack a lot with your red deck, I suggest you put it in. It's turn 1 this. I think it's useful. You've seen it. It's great. I have a limited amount, so I can play it in all of my decks. It's great. It's fantastic. It's often fantastic as long as you can at least attack with him and maybe deal some extra damage. He often creates around 16, 20 red mana for me, especially in this deck. He will often make 16 alone from him, plus I often attack with him, so around 20 mana easily in this deck. It's a cool effect. It's alright. It's ramp in red, so we'll keep it. And yeah, and here is some more explosive mana. In this deck you often are pushing for card draw, so often you come close to 0. And most of my decks that you have seen this one, I'm often drawing for usually if I can get this one out in 1 turn, I'm most likely drawing from this one, from its ability. What I mean in that game that I play often. Oh, I'm really struggling to tell you what I mean. If I play this in a game, I often will get to use slice. Is that what I'm saying? Is that what I'm supposed to say? I will get this effect that I'm drawing card in my upkeep. You also, if you play this card, you will try to spend all the cards in your hand just for this effect alone. You do what's best for you, okay? Yeah, you've seen this before, and this is cool. Alright, to the card draw. Yeah, before. Sunbird. I have it in all my red decks. In every red deck I make, I often try to put it in. I think I have it in close to all decks that I own that is in red, and I think I have close to 16 of that card. I won't run out of it because I always buy a new one, but I haven't needed to buy one since I bought around 16 of them. So this is a really cool effect. It's fun. You often is 6 mana and somebody destroys it. But if you can keep it for 1 turn, it's fun, it's cool, it's good, it's as long as it's live. It's also become removal so they don't destroy this one. I'd rather destroy this one than that one, and well, pick your poison. Alright, to get the card draw. Dracus's card draw. Fire was Sword and Ice. I haven't played a lot with it yet. I bought 4 copies of it when this set came out. I believe I traded one as well to me. I think I only have 4 copies of it. So I played a lot with it yet, but I do like the effect, and my commander is a flyer, so I often will get a touchdown. Also, I will often get the effect I want. This effect. You have to hit a player's face for the effect. Alright, so it will deal 2 damage and draw your card. This is good. One of my favorite cards. Often you will hear me say one of my favorite cards, but Magic has so many cards, and having a lot of favorite cards is good. I think it makes the game more fun. I love him because he draws you a lot of cards, and this keyword is so cool. Menace. A 12/12. So, a 12/12 coming for your face with Menace. I would love to build him as my commander, though my friend have him as his commander, so I can't build him yet, and I don't have an clever way to build him, so we do not become just a big Eldrazi deck guy. Yeah, he will. Since I have a lot of explosive mana, as you saw earlier, it will be easy for me to throw him for 10. It's a cool card. It's a cool body. It's a cool effect. It can counter for you, and that can save your commander. I'm not telling you you're going to play him in Dracus, but if you want a deck that had a lot of explosive mana, or mana is not a hard resource for you, it's a cool card. I suggest you try to play him. I just suggest he's really cool. I think he's pretty cool. Alright, you've seen this before. Seen this. This one, ping 8 for 4 mana. Ping 8 for 4 cards in this deck with that much explosive mana. I haven't it out on the battlefield yet. Even though it has been on in my deck for a long time. Yeah, maybe I had it out for some time. Though I often has the effect that I have more mana than I can spend in this deck. So I put that's what I'm feeling comfortable to put it in my deck. You've seen it before. It's card draw in red. Woohoo! Alright. Those 2 is not good card draw. It's okay. But it's not good card draw. He can shoot most creatures down, so it's easy to protect her, even though I do not have a blocker. I often can just shoot down most of the creature on the board, so she will get. Yeah, she usually survives for some turns in this deck. And as I told you, this is not a good effect. Though it can turn into a land that can tap for free and deals 3 damage. Could be cool. Love this guy. I wish I had more of him. Love this card. One of my favorites. Those 2 is pretty cool, but this is fantastic. It's so fun. You can see me. This one is the first deck I pulled it up in. It's a card draw effect for 3 mana. I think it's good as long as you get him out early. I'm not telling you as long as I get him out early, this card is good, or one of the others, or other creature with high power. The best card draw, or I think it's my favorite card draw in red. This is a really good card draw. I bought a lot of copies of it, but if your deck do not have that much mana available, this card becomes a lot worse. Though if you can get free counters on it, you will start to get stuff out for free. That's pretty good, but it's work to It's a lot of work to make this deck, to make this card good. But when you can start using this ability, it becomes good. I think this is nice, as I told you earlier, and this is cool. Alright, now we've been through all of the 4 red decks that I have played and have experience with. The other Red Devil deck that I haven't shown you yet. But I want to show you just the coolest, some of the cool cards I play with in the deck, and I'm going to talk short about it. I found this card some time ago, and it's so cool. I only have 2 copies of it. The seller only had 2. I hope they reprint this soon. And since I have a lot of mana in whatever, it's fun to just pump him or one of the other creatures. When I started to play, I think this was a really bad effect. I think this was a really bad creature. Now I love it. It's one of my favorite cards. And as I told you, most of these cards is some of my favorite cards to play with. Just hitting something for 3 and attack with a 7/7. It's so fun. Many of my creatures have 7 or more damage attack in this deck, so this becomes really good. Plus just dealing 4 to whatever I want. And as I told you earlier, I like burn. I love burn. Dracus will also have a little board wipe and deal some damage to some players. Dracus will deal more damage when he attacks, even more. So he will deal 8 damage in total more just with him alone. Sorry for the camera, I'm just holding it. So in every red deck that want to attack, I suggest you buy some of those cards. I also have the Boros one laying around someplace. This is my brewing case. I just have a lot of green and red and colors that I like to brew with, but I do not wish to trade away, like ramps and stuff like that. There's some of my perps. I don't remember what it's called in English. There is also a Boros version of this, and I suggest I hope they will reprint it, because having haste enabler on lands is fantastic. I do not wish to spend space. I rather play with stuff like this than to put in haste enablers as a creature or you understand what I mean. If you can have those 2 cards plus some lightning greaves and stuff like that, you have enough haste. Or I like those because I can do not have to spend card space on it. This is so cool land. I only have 1 of them. I hope they will reprint this. It's so cool, dealing 3 damage when you play lands. Here as well I have this land. Now I showed you this earlier and I told you how I used it in this deck, and it's cool. Cool, I've shown you that. This is a cool effect. Instant speed, this is I call it a surprise card. And suddenly 1 creature had +6/+0 it does not have to be your creature. It can be one of your opponent that attacks an opponent. So if you are player 1 and player 2 attacks player 3, you can pump his creature and maybe kill the other guy's commander, plus you will draw a card on it. It's a so cool effect. It's not a good, I do not think it's a good effect, but it's a cool effect. I like it. It's fun. I just love this card. It's so cool. So many cool things. I didn't even knew it had this ability earlier. I only played him for those 2 abilities, that you discard your hand and dealt damage when he died. These Cavaliers I think was so cool when they printed them. But this can win you the game sometimes. or have a really big effect on the board. And I've shown you him earlier. I think it will be fun to... Sorry, I can't manage to get it up. I think it's just a cool ability. I bought a lot of copies of this when it came out. It's not a strong effect, but it's a cool effect. It's a fun effect, so I usually play with it. Plus, my creatures will die at the end of the turn anyway, so why not exchange it for a new and fresh one? Well, look at the foil when in the camera. It does not have this effect when I'm seeing it in real life. I already talked about discards. This is a cool effect, especially in mono red. It deals a lot of damage. Yeah, plus he pumps out a lot of... I can't remember what it's called when it has 2 red. Devotion. So often I have around 10 devotion plus, so it's a 10 damage to someone's face. It's an explosive turn. And this is pretty cool. He deals damage to creature or player. I believe Planeswalker as well, but don't quote you on that. And often you have 7. When you play him, you often have around 7 mountains anyway, so it's a cool card. This is cool. Now it's another effect that's also said when it enters the battlefield you deal damage, and it's 2 effects of that now. I had the dragon form. Oops, clumsy. I have the dragon form in this deck, the creature form of that. When it enters the battlefield, if it deals damage, but I think entering the battle effects, it's a lot stronger than him, and I think weaker stuff is a bit cooler. So when the creature dies, plus it makes an effect that I'm going to attack with my creature. If we don't attack with this effect, but say I have him in this deck, I believe he's in there, and I will pump my creature till so it's a 12/6, and my opponent. And it will be scary for my opponent to block it, because if he blocks and kills the creature, my creature, I will then deal 12 damage in someone's face, either way, or just kill one of his creatures, or so it can make it harder for your opponents to your opponent's decision making. I also read a lot of books, and I read 33 strategies for war, and stopping your opponents, creating problems for your opponents. They can always find a solution, but if you make hard decisions for your opponent, that's better, because they have to take a hard decision anyway. But creating a problem, you can always find a solution for a problem. But creating a hard, as I said earlier, I do not know why I repeat myself that much. Alright, sorry, this was the card I dropped earlier. And the effects here. You know, I'm from Norwegian, so you might not know it, but I'm from Norwegian, and here. So I talk weird English. Whenever a creature is dealt damage, deals that much damage to that creature's controller. So I think this is a really cool effect. This is a cool effect. When you deal damage with an instant or sorcery to a creature, you also deal that to opponent. So a 2 for 1. It's fantastic. I really love this one. You can fix much of your problems, but he will deal +2, so he will deal 4 damage here each time. So 12 damage in total, or you can wipe the board with it. You can destroy some artifacts. Fantastic. It's a fantastic instant speed. I love it. You can deal damage to whatever you want. Then you also can play out a card. So say you X is on 5. You can do this one, and you can throw this in instant speed. Suddenly it became an instant speed because of this card. It's so much utility, so cool. And as I said earlier, I love utility. That's so nice. This is really cool. It's a cool sorcery. And this is a cool sorcery. Now, that was the deck, guys. Please leave a comment if... please leave a comment. I would... it's fun if you will leave a comment and tell me what you think about it. If you think the video is way too long, if I'm rambling way too much. I'm a brewer and I only want to... I wish to help other brewers or becoming brewers. I think this is really fun to just build decks, and if we can all, if all of us would share some of our experiences and knowledge, yeah, if I can help someone out and make them be able to want to brew a red deck, if there's a red deck you wish to brew but you think it's hard to brew red, or have some ideas, here is a weird idea. This is I'm gonna make a, as I said, later, but I can see if I can find one of the effects now. There is one of them. I play with stuff like this. It's not a good effect, but I think it's a cool effect. So he's really built around stuff like that. The thing is, it's hard to play such a bad card in Commander, but he pushes the damage, so it becomes easier to do stuff like that. So if you can build in a clever way, you can use card that's bad, though you can turn it in so they become playable. They not necessarily became good, but they can become playable, such as this card and fire breathing effect. If you can build clever around it, I'm not saying that I've built clever around it, but because I sometimes struggle with getting my that was a really fun card. I'm not going to find it now, but getting your fire for all of you guys that's going to build a fire breathing deck, it's not easy to get your fire breathers through. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Enjoy this mess, and I hope I see you in the next one.